What if you could read all 4 Gospels at the same time? That would be pretty incredible, right? Well, there's a truly unique book which does just that. And it's called a Gospel Comparative. This book enables anyone to read all 4 Gospels simultaneously in one continuous story. Much like a movie, it simply works scene by scene. The text is broken down and matched into scenes. The scenes then make up the story, making it engaging, yet easy to read and very user-friendly. The book simply does the work for you. It's that simple. Here's how it works. First, we take the complete text of each gospel, then each account is placed into a designated column, allotting 2 columns per page on facing pages. Matthew, Mark on even-numbered pages, with Luke and John on odd-numbered pages. This is called a 2-page spread. Now here's what's different. Both pages together are viewed and read as one. It's pretty interesting, huh? Now in English language, narrative direction runs from top to bottom. But this book also offers a line-by-line comparative direction that runs from left to right, cross-connecting with the narrative direction. Here's an example. On this spread, the reader begins at the top right of the odd-numbered page. Why? Because that's the end of the scene from the previous spread. The story then continues in the next scene, where we're now back on the even-numbered page. This way, you can read all 4 Gospels at the same time. This is how you get the whole story all at once. Each and every scene now has the full picture. Simple, whole, and complete. Next, we want to talk about scene numbers. At the beginning of each scene, you'll find a scene number on the outer margins. These scene numbers correspond to the table of contents as well as the chapter-verse breakdown in the appendix. These numbers help the reader to find the beginning of any particular scene throughout the story. Next is area or spaces. Throughout the book, you'll see a considerable amount of blank space. These areas with no text simply means there's no content in that version of the gospel for that scene. An example of this is scene 16, Adolescent Jesus in Jerusalem. The account of this scene is only chronicled in Luke, chapter 2, verses 41 through 52. Therefore, Luke is the only column with any content for that scene. All scholars agree the 4 canonical Gospels do not match, nor do they have the same content. More than any one thing, this book helps the reader to easily see what story content exists for each individual version, while at the same time, how that content compares to the other versions. Subsequently, one of the most compelling and insightful parts of this book is the blank space. Now we'll talk about symbols and their meanings. The Gospels used in this book are from the King James Version of the Bible. As stated previously, not a single word has been added or taken away from the original text. Therefore, every verse is marked with its original chapter and verse number. Now, because all 4 Gospels have to work together, many verses are placed in non-sequential order from their original Bible version. So along with the chapter verse numbers, an array of symbols are used as reference back to the original version. These symbols, in conjunction with the chapter verse numbers, give the reader a breadcrumb trail back to any point in the original text. Here is a list of the symbols and their meanings. A downward arrow indicates that verse would numerically appear later in the original version. An upward arrow indicates that verse would numerically appear earlier in the original version. Double line dashes indicate the verse is split up and used in part from the original text. This is done for comparative purposes. Single line dashes indicate the verse is split a second time after the first. But again, for comparative purposes, the verse is broken down again. A double dagger symbol indicates the verse has a comparative reference to another verse in a different gospel. However, for grammatical purposes, they cannot share the same comparative line. This symbol indicates there is a timeline break in the narrative. This is used when the storyline is carried by only a single version of a gospel. It serves as a marker when the narrative changes from one scene to the next. There's much more to tell, and we'll produce more videos. In the meantime, to learn more and purchase your own copy of a Gospel Comparative directly from the publisher, go to gospelcomparative.org today. If you think this project is worthwhile, please like and subscribe. I know it sounds cliché, but it really does help. Thanks.